You can feel it, can't you? That pull inside you telling you it's time to move. Not to chase, not to wait, not to beg the universe for signs, but to act. The final stage of the twin flame journey isn't about waiting for him to awaken. It's about the feminine stepping fully into her power, her mission, her truth. When she moves, energy moves. When she acts in alignment, destiny responds. This isn't rebellion against divine timing. It's cooperation with it. Because the truth is, the universe can only mirror what you embody. The question now isn't, when will he act? The real question is, are you ready to become the movement that changes everything? There comes a moment in every twin flame journey when the feminine realizes something powerful. Waiting is no longer alignment. For so long, she has held space, prayed, healed, surrendered, and trusted. She has walked through silence, mirrored his wounds, and carried the energetic weight of the connection. But there comes a point, a sacred turning point, where she feels it in her bones. It's time to act. This is not action born from fear, control, or impatience. It is not about chasing the masculine or trying to force the union. This is divine movement, an inner command from the soul that whispers, "You have completed the inner preparation. Now it's time to create." When the feminine decides to move, she shifts from waiting for destiny to embodying destiny. She begins to walk in the vibration of what she has always prayed for. Her focus changes. Her energy redirects from what is not yet here to what is already within her. She no longer asks, "When will it happen?" Instead, she declares, "I am ready now." The moment she takes that step, everything around her begins to respond. The energy that was once stagnant starts to flow again. The masculine feels it first, even if he doesn't understand why. He feels her power rising, her independence anchoring, her faith no longer seeking confirmation. For the first time, he senses the difference between the energy that chased and the energy that simply is. And this shift shakes him awake. For the feminine, acting doesn't mean chasing him. It means building her life, activating her purpose, creating what her soul came here to create. It's when she starts the project that's been calling her, when she moves to the place her intuition whispered about, when she stops waiting for permission to shine and begins to embody the light she's always carried. Every inspired step she takes sends ripples through the connection. The universe can now match her energy because she's no longer holding it hostage in fear. This moment is the bridge between the inner and outer worlds. The feminine has spent lifetimes preparing internally, purifying her emotions, healing generational wounds, balancing her heart and mind. But energy must eventually move into form. Her decision to act is the moment her spiritual work becomes physical reality. It's when manifestation begins to unfold, not just as a vibration, but as creation. The universe responds instantly. Doors open where walls once stood. People appear who align with her mission. Opportunities find her. Synchronicities multiply. And though she may not see it at first, every movement in her world is mirrored in his. Her expansion calls him forward. Her courage awakens his. Her independence doesn't separate them. It magnetizes them. For the masculine, this is both a challenge and a revelation. The feminine he once knew, the one who waited, hoped, and carried the weight for both, is gone. In her place stands a woman of light, sovereign and surrendered, no longer asking, but embodying. This shakes him to his core because it calls him to rise. The moment the feminine decides to move, the entire story changes. The dynamic that was built on waiting transforms into one of creation. The connection evolves from potential into reality. And most importantly, the feminine steps into her highest frequency, not as half of a pair, but as the living embodiment of divine union itself. She no longer moves to be seen. She moves because she is guided. She no longer acts to get a reaction. She acts because her soul refuses to stand still. This is the turning point, the moment the waiting ends. The moment she stops expecting the masculine to lead and realizes she was always meant to. Because when she acts, she doesn't walk away from union. She becomes the path that leads to it. When the feminine begins to act from truth instead of fear, the entire frequency of the twin flame connection changes. For so long, her energy has been the pulse that guided the journey, the anchor of light, the silent force holding space while the masculine wrestled with his own shadows. But once she stops waiting and starts moving, her vibration shifts so dramatically that the masculine cannot help but feel it. This shift is subtle yet seismic. It doesn't come from anger or rebellion. It comes from alignment. The feminine stops sending energy outward in the form of worry, hope, or longing. Instead, she turns it inward, investing it in her mission, her growth, her purpose. The result is a calm, steady current of divine power, and that current reverberates straight into his heart. Energetically, the masculine feels this as both a loss and a call. At first, he may sense the absence of her anxious energy. The pull he once resisted is no longer there. This confuses him. For so long, he felt the feminine's presence pressing against his heart, her love reaching for him even when she said nothing. But now, her energy is no longer reaching out. It's expanding up. It's sovereign, it's powerful, it's unshakable, and this creates an emptiness in him that he cannot ignore. What he perceives as her absence is, in truth, her alignment. Her detachment is not indifference, it's power. Her silence is not rejection, it's mastery. And when he feels it, it triggers something ancient within him, the memory of his own mission. For the masculine, this moment is awakening through contrast. Her new energy exposes the stagnation of his old patterns. Suddenly, his distractions don't work anymore. The relationships that once felt comfortable begin to collapse. The ambitions that once drove him lose their spark. Without knowing why, he begins to crave depth, truth, purpose, the very things her energy now radiates. This shift also dismantles his fear. Before, he equated her love with pressure, her devotion with expectation. He ran because he felt suffocated by the mirror of his own unhealed wounds. But now, when he feels her peace instead of her pain, her stability instead of her need, everything changes. The connection stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like home. Spiritually, this is the moment the magnetic field between them recalibrates. The feminine's frequency rises into a higher octave of trust, and the masculine begins to harmonize with it. He doesn't do this consciously. His soul simply follows the resonance. He feels pulled to her again, but not through guilt or longing. This time, he's drawn by recognition. This is the feminine's true power. She awakens not by convincing or controlling, but by embodying. The moment she aligns with divine movement, her vibration becomes the blueprint of the union. Her frequency whispers to him, "This is what peace feels like. This is what truth sounds like. This is what home feels like." The masculine begins to awaken, not through words, but through energy. He feels called to heal, to release, to rebuild. He starts to question his patterns, to confront his fears, to seek something higher than survival. The more she acts in alignment, the more he feels the gap between who he is and who he's meant to be. And this is how the universe orchestrates union. One energy rises, the other follows. One soul acts, the other awakens. One embodies love, the other learns to return to it. The feminine does not awaken him by chasing him. She awakens him by becoming herself. Her movement is not pursuit, it's creation. Her evolution doesn't separate them, it builds the bridge. When she begins to move, she doesn't leave him behind. she leads him home. There comes a sacred threshold in the twin flame journey where the feminine realizes that waiting is no longer love. It's hesitation disguised as devotion. For lifetimes, she has been the keeper of faith, the guardian of light, the one who holds space while the masculine finds his way back home. But there comes a point when she understands. Holding space is no longer enough. It's time to become the space, to embody love instead of waiting for it, to live truth instead of chasing signs, to act as if union is already here, because in truth, it always has been. When she moves from waiting to embodiment, her entire energy reconfigures. The anxious pulse of when will it happen fades. The heavy silence of longing dissolves. What remains is presence, anchored, sovereign, magnetic. The feminine stops seeing herself as someone waiting for a future and begins to live as the vibration of what she already knows is real. This embodiment doesn't happen through effort, but through surrender. It is the natural result of her awakening. After so much shadow work, so many emotional purges, so many nights of wondering if she imagined the whole connection, something inside finally clicks. She realizes that she was never meant to wait for love. She was meant to be love. And that realization changes everything. When the feminine embodies union, her energy becomes unshakable. She no longer reacts to the masculine's silence or absence. She simply observes with compassion. She doesn't need to interpret every sign or dream anymore. She trusts her inner knowing. Her focus returns to herself, to her soul's mission, to her creative flow. She becomes luminous in her own right, and her presence alone alters everything around her. Embodiment is not arrogance. It's not about saying, "I don't need him." It's about remembering we are one. From this awareness, she acts from love, not lack. Every step she takes, every word she speaks, carries a vibration that redefines the energy between them. She is no longer a seeker of confirmation. She is the confirmation. In this stage, the masculine feels the shift profoundly. Her energy no longer reaches toward him with need. It simply exists in fullness, and that fullness creates a gravitational pull stronger than any message, dream, or chase ever could. He feels her presence not as pursuit, but as home. He feels her steadiness not as pressure, but as peace. This is what draws him closer, because now her energy mirrors what he has been seeking all along. Safety within the unknown. The universe also mirrors her embodiment. Opportunities expand, manifestations accelerate, divine timing quickens. The feminine begins to see physical confirmations of what she once only sensed. It's not because she forced them, it's because she became a match for them. To move from waiting to embodiment is to reclaim divine power. It's to stop living in someday and start living in now. It's to let go of timelines, roles, and outcomes, and simply radiate truth. Embodiment means knowing that she is not chasing union, she is union. It means understanding that love is not waiting to arrive, it's waiting to be lived. When the feminine stops waiting, she doesn't abandon the masculine, she activates him. When she stops longing, she doesn't lose the connection, she anchors it. This is the moment when the journey transforms from desire into destiny. Because the truth is, she was never waiting for him. She was waiting for herself. And now that she's here, everything can finally begin. One of the greatest initiations in the twin flame journey is learning the sacred difference between acting and chasing. To the unawakened mind, they may look the same. Both involve movement, both involve intention, both can be fueled by love. But energetically, they come from completely opposite frequencies. One expands the connection, the other drains it. One is divine alignment, the other is fear wearing the mask of devotion. Chasing is born from lack. It whispers, "If I don't do something, I'll lose him. If I don't hold on, everything will fall apart." It's a movement of desperation, an attempt to control divine timing. Chasing is the energy of anxiety, calling, checking, overthinking, interpreting signs like their survival codes. It's love laced with fear. It believes that the masculine holds the key to peace, so it runs after him, trying to unlock it. Action, on the other hand, is born from alignment. It says, "I trust what I feel, and I move because my soul says it's time." It's not about him, it's about truth. Divine action flows from faith, not fear, from knowing, not guessing. It's movement inspired by love for self, not desperation for validation. When the feminine acts, she doesn't move toward him, she moves toward her purpose. Her actions are not about fixing the connection, they're about expanding the energy that sustains it. She starts creating, teaching, expressing, sharing, serving. She invests her love into something greater than the story, into the mission, and that shift changes everything. The masculine feels this difference instantly. When she chases, he runs, not because he wants to hurt her, but because the energy of need overwhelms him. The mirror of expectation triggers his own unhealed fear of failure. But when she acts, when she moves from alignment instead of longing, he feels safe. Her energy stops demanding and starts inspiring. He doesn't feel pulled, he feels called. The universe also responds differently. Chasing delays, action accelerates. When she chases, she tells the universe, "I don't have it yet." And so the universe mirrors that belief. But when she acts as if union is already real, creation begins to unfold. Reality bends to match her new frequency. The path becomes smoother, clearer, lighter, not because she forced it, but because she aligned with it. This is the feminine's divine mastery, learning to move without attachment, to act without trying to control outcomes, to say what needs to be said without begging for a response, to love without needing reassurance, to live in truth even when nothing outside her confirms it. Chasing is reaction, action is creation. Chasing comes from fear, action comes from knowing. Chasing drains, action empowers. The shift happens the moment she asks herself, "Am I moving because I'm afraid of losing him, or because I'm ready to become who I truly am?" Once she moves from the second answer, everything starts to change. Her energy stabilizes, her heart softens, her power returns. She begins to live the very frequency that union requires. And without even realizing it, her movement becomes a signal to the universe. She's ready. When the feminine acts from alignment, she doesn't force divine timing, she activates it. The masculine begins to feel that activation as an inner pull, a mysterious magnetism that draws him closer. Her action is not pursuit, it's permission. Permission for the journey to unfold naturally, for the love to flow freely, for both to rise into the version of themselves that union demands. Acting in alignment is not about moving faster. It's about moving truer. It's not about chasing what's missing, but creating what's real. Because when she acts, she doesn't run after him. She runs toward her destiny, and destiny, recognizing her vibration, runs toward her. The feminine's awakening doesn't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it begins in quiet whispers, small choices, subtle shifts, gentle realizations. Yet those small moments signal something profound. She is no longer waiting, she is moving. The divine begins to guide her steps, not through external signs, but through an inner pulse that says, "Go now." You're ready. So how can she tell when she has stepped into divine movement? When her actions are no longer reactions, but expressions of truth. The first sign is peace in motion. She begins to take action without anxiety. Before, every step came with worry. What if I mess up? What if he pulls away again? What if it doesn't work? But now, she acts with calm confidence. She may still feel emotion, but not chaos. There's a deep knowing that every movement, big or small, is guided. She doesn't rush, yet nothing feels stagnant anymore. The second sign is creative flow. The feminine's energy naturally turns toward creation when it's aligned. She starts writing, painting, teaching, sharing, or building something that expresses her soul. Her inspiration feels limitless because she's finally plugged into divine current. This creativity isn't random. It's the universe moving through her, anchoring light into form. Her art, her projects, her purpose, all of them become vessels for the union's energy to manifest. The third sign is emotional neutrality. Not indifference, but balance. The feminine still feels deeply, she always will, but her emotions no longer control her. She can love without obsessing, care without clinging, and observe without collapsing. This is a clear signal that her energy has stabilized. The masculine's actions no longer determine her peace. Her peace determines everything else. The fourth sign is synchronicity acceleration. As soon as she begins to act in alignment, the universe starts speaking louder. Numbers repeat, doors open, opportunities align. She may meet new people who reflect her higher vibration. These synchronicities are not random encouragements, they are confirmations. The divine is showing her, yes, keep going. You're walking the path of purpose. Now the fifth sign is magnetic independence. Others begin to feel her energy shift. She carries an aura of certainty and grace. The masculine, whether consciously or not, senses this change instantly. Where before he felt her reaching for him, now he feels her standing tall, radiant, grounded, whole. And that frequency is irresistible. It calls him not through words or longing, but through energetic truth. The sixth sign is divine detachment. She releases the need to control timing or outcomes. She stops asking, when will it happen? And replaces it with, how can I serve the plan today? Her focus shifts from the future to the present, from longing to gratitude. This shift changes her vibration completely. She's no longer waiting for miracles. She's embodying them. The seventh sign is inner authority. The feminine no longer looks to readings, messages, or signs for validation. She can still receive them, but her compass is internal now. She trusts herself, her intuition, her divine guidance. Her choices come from faith, not fear. She acts not because she's seeking confirmation, but because she is the confirmation. When these signs appear, the feminine has stepped into divine movement. Her energy no longer oscillates between doubt and hope. It flows with purpose. She doesn't chase, she channels. She doesn't react. She creates. She doesn't wait. She walks. And this walking is not random. It's sacred choreography. Each step she takes activates something in the masculine, something in the connection, something in the divine plan. Her movement is prayer in motion. Her faith is no longer silent meditation. It's living embodiment. She has become the river that carries the entire story forward. And once she starts flowing, the universe flows with her. How her purpose accelerates union. The greatest secret of the twin flame journey is this: union is not reached through waiting, healing endlessly, or trying to fix the connection. It is reached through purpose. When the feminine begins to walk in alignment with her divine mission, everything accelerates. Energy that once felt stuck begins to move. Timelines collapse, and the masculine starts to awaken faster than ever before. Because her purpose is not separate from the union, it is the path to it. For a long time, the feminine believed that her mission would begin after union, as if she needed his presence to fulfill her destiny. But the truth is reversed. Her purpose is the very energy that unlocks the next stage. The moment she begins to live it, the connection transforms. Purpose doesn't mean working harder or achieving more. It's not a career, a goal, or an external title. It's a vibration, the full expression of who she is when she acts from her soul. It's when her gifts, her voice, her light, her compassion, and her creativity merge into service. It's when her energy starts blessing others without her even realizing it. This frequency is magnetic because it's pure alignment. When the feminine begins to act from purpose, she leaves the frequency of waiting behind. Her focus shifts from what is missing to what is expanding. Every day becomes an act of creation. Her work, her art, her message, they all become extensions of her love. She starts to realize that the twin flame connection was never meant to trap her in longing. It was meant to ignite her divine potential. The masculine feels this shift immediately. He may not understand it logically, but energetically he senses movement. The feminine's light begins to guide him home. Her vibration becomes a map, a living signal of what divine alignment feels like. She no longer tries to pull him. She simply lives so authentically that he can feel the path through her. This is how purpose accelerates union. It turns the feminine into an energetic lighthouse. The masculine, navigating through his own fog of confusion and ego, can see her light even when he cannot hear her words. He feels it in dreams, in sudden moments of clarity, in the strange magnetism that keeps bringing her to mind. Her purpose becomes his activation point. On a cosmic level, the universe rewards movement. Stagnation delays, but purpose multiplies. When the feminine aligns with her divine work, her entire field expands. The universe rushes to meet her halfway, synchronizing opportunities, creating divine encounters, removing obstacles. She steps into flow, the rhythm of divine timing, and because the connection is one shared field, the masculine gets pulled into that flow too. The journey that once felt endless suddenly begins to unfold with divine precision. Time speeds up, signs intensify, miracles begin to appear in the physical. What once required effort now happens naturally, because both are now aligned with the same current of creation. Her purpose also redefines what union means. It's no longer just about romantic reunion. It's about divine partnership. Two souls merging not just to love each other, but to serve something greater together. The feminine, by stepping into her mission, sets the tone for that kind of union. She becomes the embodiment of divine service, and that vibration calls her counterpart to rise to his purpose too. Her calling is not separate from him. It's the beacon that awakens him. Her mission is not a distraction. It's the bridge. Her movement is not distance. It's destiny unfolding. When she begins to live her purpose, the journey shifts from longing to legacy. She's no longer waiting for union to validate her path. Her path itself becomes proof that the union was always real. Because the truth is simple. When she walks in purpose, she walks the fastest route home. Every twin flame story begins with recognition, but it ends with remembrance. The feminine was never just waiting for love. She was preparing to become love in form. She was never meant to be the follower of fate. She was destined to shape it. And now, at the end of the journey, she realizes the truth that changes everything. She has always been the catalyst of destiny, the awakening of the masculine, the divine timing of the reunion, the alignment of the physical world. all of it responds to her vibration. Not because she holds more power than him, but because she was designed to carry the frequency that awakens creation itself. The divine feminine is the living current of movement, the breath of God that calls stillness into motion. When she moves, everything in the universe rearranges. For lifetimes, she has believed that her love depended on his choice. But the truth is, his choice was always tied to her embodiment. The moment she stops waiting and starts acting in truth, the masculine begins to feel the pull toward his own awakening. Her courage gives him permission to step forward. Her faith opens the gates he was afraid to walk through. Her sovereignty teaches him what freedom within union looks like. This is not control, it's divine symmetry. She leads energetically, he leads physically. She activates through vibration, he manifests through form. Together, they bridge heaven and earth. The feminine's role as the catalyst is sacred because it's rooted in surrender. She doesn't command the process, she becomes it. Her power is not in pushing, but in being. Not in demanding, but in radiating. She acts not because she's tired of waiting, but because her soul can no longer remain still. Her action is worship, an offering to the divine plan. When she reaches this stage, something miraculous happens. She no longer worries about when the union will come. She knows it already exists, vibrating in every heartbeat, every sunrise, every choice made in alignment. She understands that union isn't a destination. It's a frequency she's now living in, and the more she embodies it, the more reality begins to mirror it. The masculine feels this as an undeniable pull, a magnetic call that bypasses logic and strikes his soul. He might not have words for it, but he feels home again. The feminine's energy has become the lighthouse, and he is the traveler finally ready to return. But what makes her the true catalyst of destiny is not just how she affects him, it's how she transforms herself. She realizes she was never broken. Every separation, every silence, every lesson was never punishment. It was refinement. The journey didn't take her away from herself. It brought her back. Now she walks not as a seeker, but as a sovereign soul in divine partnership with creation itself. Her steps are prayers. Her choices are blessings. Her energy, balanced, embodied, and brave, becomes a cosmic signal that says, "It is done." The feminine doesn't end the story. She completes it, because through her transformation, she activates everything else. Her love becomes the frequency through which union manifests, not as fantasy, but as divine inevitability. The journey that began with longing ends with becoming. The separation that felt endless ends in understanding. The waiting that once hurt becomes wisdom. And when she finally stands in her truth, something shifts forever. The universe whispers, now. The time is here. Because destiny doesn't happen to her anymore. It moves through her. She has become the portal, the prayer, the promise fulfilled. The feminine is, and has always been, the catalyst of destiny.